The FIFA World Cup. It's more than a tournament. It's a global phenomenon that captures the hearts and minds of billions. Every 4 years, the world pauses to watch, to hope, and to dream. It's a time when national rivalries are settled, not on battlefields, but on the pitch, with grown men and women displaying extraordinary skill and athleticism, all for the love of the game. For 1 month, the world unites in a shared obsession, fueled by hope, despair, and the thrill of the unexpected. Every goal, every save, every heartbreak is felt across continents. It's a global festival, a pilgrimage for millions of fans who travel thousands of miles, ready to sing, dance, and celebrate until their voices give out and their feet are sore. This tournament is more than just 90 minutes of play. It's a stage where legends are born, where underdogs become heroes, and where nations dare to believe in miracles. It's a massive economic engine, transforming cities and economies overnight, and a source of immense national pride for the host country, eager to showcase its culture to the world. Hosting the World Cup is like throwing the world's biggest party, a celebration of sport, culture, and humanity, broadcast to every corner of the globe. The benefits are supposed to be huge: a flood of tourists, billions in revenue, and a lasting legacy of new infrastructure and international goodwill. But at its core, the World Cup is built on the passion and energy of these fans. Without their songs, their cheers, and their unwavering devotion, it's just 22 millionaires chasing a ball on a field. The true spirit of the World Cup is one of unity, openness, and shared joy. A rare moment when borders blur and strangers become friends. And in 2025, it became painfully clear that one of the hosts, the United States, had fundamentally misunderstood this contract, leaving the world to wonder what had gone wrong with the beautiful game. Let's rewind to 2018. The world was buzzing with anticipation, and North America was at the center of it all. Soccer fans from every corner of the continent gathered in living rooms, bars, and city squares, their eyes glued to the screen, waiting for a historic announcement. That year, FIFA made a decision that would shape the future of the sport in North America. The 2026 World Cup would be hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico. It was a moment of celebration, a rare show of unity across 3 nations with distinct cultures and histories. The United bid was ambitious and grand, promising not just a tournament, but a spectacle. It was pitched as a win-win for everyone: more drama, more fans, and of course, more money for FIFA. Stadiums would be filled to the brim, and the world would watch as North America took center stage. Mexico and Canada, while playing supporting roles, would each host a handful of group stage matches. For these countries, it was a chance to showcase their passion for the game and welcome the world to their home turf. The United States, with its sprawling cities and massive stadiums, was set to be the star of the show, hosting the lion's share of the games. The scale was unprecedented, promising a World Cup bigger than ever before. The grand finale, the match that would crown a champion, was destined for a colossal American stadium, an arena built to hold dreams, drama, and the eyes of the world. This United bid was sold on the promise of unity, a seamless travel experience, and a festival of football that would bring people together across borders. Fans would hop from city to city, country to country, united by their love of the game. But promises, as we know, can be as flimsy as a defender trying to stop Kylian Mbappé at full speed. Exciting in theory, but often falling apart under real pressure. Soon, the political winds in the United States began to shift dramatically. Tensions rose, debates flared, and the spirit of unity that once seemed so strong started to feel fragile. The idea of millions of foreign fans pouring across the borders, once seen as a celebration of global community, began to sound like a security threat to some. Questions about safety, logistics, and immigration suddenly took center stage. The United bid, built on dreams of togetherness, was about to collide with a very disunited reality, one where politics, fear, and division threatened to overshadow the beautiful game. The first and perhaps most daunting obstacle for World Cup fans hoping to visit the United States was, quite simply, the door itself. Before anyone could even think about booking flights or planning their dream trip, they had to face the formidable challenge of getting a US visa, a process that would prove to be a nightmare for many. The biggest problem was the door, locked tight by layers of bureaucracy and suspicion. The US treated every single World Cup fan as a potential security risk, refusing to create any special or expedited visa process for the event. Instead, fans were left to navigate the same complex, slow-moving system as everyone else. For many, this meant being thrown into the bureaucratic meat grinder of the standard American visa system. An experience marked by endless paperwork, confusing requirements, and long waits with no guarantee of success. In countries like Colombia, Nigeria, and Vietnam, the wait time for a simple visa interview could stretch to an astonishing 23 months. That's nearly 2 years, longer than the time between World Cups. Embassy staff were completely overwhelmed, buried under mountains of applications and paperwork, leaving thousands of hopeful fans stuck in limbo, with no idea if they'd ever get their chance. To make matters worse, a new bond program required visitors from certain countries to post up to $15,000, money that many simply didn't have or couldn't risk losing. Combined with ongoing travel bans and ever-changing restrictions, the message was clear. For some fans, the dream of attending the World Cup in America was out of reach. Even the country's leaders seemed to treat the situation lightly. Vice President J.D. Vance joked publicly about detaining visitors who overstayed their visas, making light of a process that was already stressful and intimidating for so many. The Department of Homeland Security issued stern warnings telling fans to carry proof of their legal status at all times, as if they were suspects rather than guests. Instead of a month-long celebration of soccer, culture, and unity, the U.S. was promising a month-long immigration check, an atmosphere of suspicion and scrutiny. The result? Stadiums that should have been filled with joy and color were left with empty seats and disappointed fans. It was the opposite of the festive, open atmosphere a World Cup demands. A missed opportunity for connection and celebration on the world's biggest stage. Beyond the bureaucratic walls, a troubling narrative of violence was taking hold in the U.S. The tragic shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade raised questions about security. Violent protests erupted in Los Angeles over immigration policies. 2 assassination attempts on President Trump painted a picture of a country on edge. The shocking assassination of Charlie Kirk reinforced the narrative of political hostility. Football federations and fan groups voiced concerns about safety. President Trump mused about moving games away from cities he considered unsafe. This was a direct threat to the tournament schedule. The combination of visa chaos, security fears, and political interference was too much to ignore. Behind the headlines were the heartbreaking stories of ordinary fans. Javier from Bogotá saved for 5 years to take his son to see their national team play. His dream trip evaporated into an automated email response. Fatima from Lagos organized a group of 30 fans, all denied visas. These weren't isolated incidents, they were happening to thousands of fans. Some fans who could travel were having second thoughts. A family from Germany canceled their trip, worried about political tension and gun violence. They decided to watch the games from a fan zone in Toronto instead. The US was actively alienating the global football family. Fan forums were filled with messages of frustration and disappointment. The spirit of the World Cup was dying at the gates of American embassies. The consequences of this fan lockout were financial. Host cities had been banking on a massive economic boom. Projections estimated a $40 billion injection into the US economy. But the flood of tourists never came. International ticket sales for matches in the US plummeted. Hotels received waves of cancellations. Restaurants were left with empty tables. The projected boom was turning into a bust. The economic promise of the World Cup was dissolving. The US had scared away all the guests with money to spend. FIFA had to act to protect its brand and its bottom line. While the US was building walls, Canada was rolling out the welcome mat. Entering Canada was a simple, straightforward process. A new travel mantra emerged: skip the US, go to Canada. Fans based themselves in Toronto and Vancouver. Canadian cities set up massive fan zones, attracting thousands of visitors. The Canadian government promoted their country as a safe, welcoming destination. The atmosphere in Toronto and Vancouver was electric. Canada wasn't just hosting a few games, it was saving the spirit of the tournament. On one side of the border, chaos. On the other, joy. Canada demonstrated its capability and respect for the fans. FIFA moved the knockout stages and the final to Canada. The decision was unprecedented. Awarding the finals to Canada was a seismic shift in football. It was a rebuke of the US's policies. The United bid was officially broken. The lesson is simple. Openness is not optional. The World Cup is a global trust, and hosts are its custodians. For the US, this was a moment of profound national embarrassment. The economic losses were immense, but the damage to the nation's reputation was greater. The story of the 2026 World Cup became a tale of two neighbors. One chose suspicion, the other chose to open its arms. The success of a World Cup is measured in the warmth of its welcome.